Hello, my friends. In this video, I want to introduce to you a gorilla. I've already made a video on trait predictor results of a chimpanzee, Clint Chimp, a couple of days ago. Actually, I think 3 weeks ago. So you should check it out for sure. But in this video, I'm going to introduce to you a Western lowland gorilla. Uh, I labeled it as Vila the gorilla. It is a female gorilla. And so what I did is I downloaded this sample, I mapped it to a human reference genome, and then I converted it to microarray sequence format. And now we're going to look at what this gorilla sample scores with my trait predictor tool for DNA analysis, and what this gorilla sample scores also with certain GET match calculators. So we're going to start with, I think, ethnicity calculator. That is probably the most interesting part of what people might want to see. With my ethnicity calculator, it is closest to Clint Chimp and then Oko the gorilla. And then it is sub-Saharan Africans, Shamlaka, South African hunter-gatherer, African American, two Mota Ethiopian hunter-gatherer, Khoisan hunter-gatherer. So it's various African groups that come after Clint, chimpanzee, and Oko the gorilla. Now, um, you might be wondering how come Clint, chimpanzee, and gorilla cluster so close with Africans with my calculator. That has to do with the way the calculator is made. That has to do with the way the calculator is set up. It has to do with what reference groups I use as anchor populations for the calculator. The way you manipulate the calculator, you can set up an anchor population for gorillas and chimps, and that way you can make them really distant from the rest of the groups. You can set up an anchor population for non-humans, and that way chimpanzees and gorillas will score very distant from humans. But I don't have that. In my calculator, I don't have a non-human anchor group. I have all human anchor populations, and that is why chimpanzees and gorillas score very similarly to certain human groups. In this case, it is Africans who they score very similar to. Now, let's look at Eurogenes K13, and Eurogenes K13 also does not have a non-human anchor group. So here, this gorilla is scoring closest to Biaka pygmy, which is a South African pygmy, followed by Luhya, which is I think in Kenya, followed by Bantu, which is in the Congo, followed by Bantu once again, followed by Mbuti pygmy, Bantu once again. So it's close to various South and Central Africans with Eurogenes K13. Once again, this calculator, as I've said prior, is one of those PCA calculators that does not have non-human reference groups in the anchor, non-human anchors in the PCA. But there are some calculators actually that do have non-human anchor groups, and let's look at them. One of these is I think it's Ancient Roots K10. Yeah, it's this one. Let's look at what they score here. In the meanwhile, while this is calculating, let's look at what they score for Nashakot calculator for appearance. What does this gorilla look like? Right, so this gorilla has got darkest brown eyes at 90% odds, so definitely very dark eye color. By the way, also keep in mind that this prediction is based on SNPs that are predictive of eye color in humans, eye color, hair color, skin color, hair texture, nose shape in humans, not gorillas. So is this supposed to be predictive of these traits in gorillas? No, not really. It's predictive of these traits in humans. Gorillas have their own unique mutations that are predictive of traits in their population. So let's not lose track of that. But it's also interesting to see what they score here. Now, Vila the gorilla also scores black hair, 100% odds of black hair. So she does not carry any human variants for lighter pigmentation of hair. She is scoring dark brown skin at 99% odds. So she's got very dark skin tone. At least she's scoring that for with my calculator. She's got a predisposition to very dark skin tone, and she's got predisposition to kinky hair at 96.8% odds. So she's got very strong predisposition to dark brown eyes, black hair, dark brown skin, kinky hair texture, and snub nose shape at 64.2% odds. Now, if we look at coloring related variants, it's quite interesting to see that she's heterozygous in this variation of HERC2. Her being heterozygous, that means that there is some variation among the gorillas, among the gorilla population. Either that or there's a miscall in this file, but it's very surprising that she's heterozygous for this variation. Very, very surprising. She's doesn't have any light color variants in any of these variations, and is she heterozygous anywhere else? I don't see anywhere else where she would be heterozygous, so that's quite interesting, right? So she's very dark. She's definitely very dark for sure, but her being heterozygous for this variation of HERC2 is certainly very surprising. Very, very surprising for me. Now let's look at the phenotype oracle, and for the phenotype oracle, the closest human phenotypes to her, the closest predicted human phenotypes to her are this, followed by this, followed by this. And let's look at the mixtures of human phenotypes that are getting predicted for her. So it looks like the mixtures of human phenotypes is a mixture of something that's black or East African or maybe Central African plus something that's Eurasian, like Indian in this case, or um, other type of Indian in this case, or once again the South Asian Indian in this case here, or looks like Polynesian, some kind of Polynesian here, or North African here. So it looks like black plus some kind of Eurasian creates this unique phenotype that she's scoring. Very interesting. So she's not entirely black phenotype, boys. Phenotype she's being predicted to be black plus something else, which is certainly very interesting. All right, now let's return to the MZLP world ancient roots K10, and here we see that once we add the anchor groups um, that are not modern human, we see something that's completely different. We see that she's scoring 56.3% archaic man, 17% human root. So she's scoring all of these components that are um, completely unusual for modern humans. And let's see it with the oracle. With the oracle, she's getting more or less a mixture of San plus Viep. Viep, I think, is in reference to Viepsians in northern Russia. I think that's what it's referencing. Viepsians. Um, so San is South African hunter-gatherer. Viep is a Viepsian. So that might be the closest mixture to her in this case. But if you look at the one population approximation, the closest group is still African American. That's very interesting. Followed by that is San. Followed by that is African Barbados. Then it's Yoruba, and then it's Makrani. So after that, it's Iranians. Then Mende, Yemenis, so Middle Eastern people, Bantu, Moroccans, Mandenka. Very interesting, and very high distances here, right? But if you look at the mixed mode, so you see it's completely different picture. So San plus Viep suddenly, so suddenly a mixture of South African hunter-gatherer plus Finno-Ugric, San plus Karelian, so suddenly a mixture of South African hunter-gatherer plus 37% Karelian, 37% Finno-Ugric, San plus Chuvash, San plus Udmurt, San plus Komi, very interesting mixtures. So San mixture of some kind of South African hunter-gatherer plus some kind of like Finno-Ugric admixture, or like San plus Tamil. Wow, you know what's crazy? I just realized, like, if you look at these mixtures, San plus Tamil, San plus Darkars, like all these South Asian mixtures. Now look at the phenotype oracle that my trait predictor gives out for this individual. Look at the phenotype oracle. Isn't that a funny coincidence that the phenotype oracle coincidentally also predicts a mixture of African plus South Asian for this individual? I don't know, maybe a coincidence, but it's kind of interesting how the MDLP world ancient roots K10 is giving out this mixture. But it's very high distances, of course, because none of these populations and mixtures of populations are really approximating what this gorilla is scoring. A distance of 51.8 is a very high distance, and there is no populations in the oracle, unfortunately, in this calculator that would match a gorilla, right? So there's no populations in the oracle. But if we populate the oracle with gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, and various other apes, we would be able to get a very good mixed mode result, very good oracle result for this individual. But we don't have any gorillas in the oracle, unfortunately, for this calculator. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But then again, I'm showing you this. This is a very good calculator. I like this calculator a lot because it's really good for various non-human, non-standard human groups. Neanderthals, various gorillas, monkeys. I like running them through this calculator because it's quite good for them, I think. All right, now let's look at the polygenic risk scores for this individual, and looks like she's scoring doesn't have any risk gradients for hemoglobin E disease. We're gonna skip everything else. We don't care about that. Low odds for gout, high odds for polycystic ovary syndrome, low odds for cataracts, high odds for AMD, averages for rheumatoid arthritis. She's got low odds for Tourette's. She's got high odds for epilepsy. Wow, that's very interesting. But epilepsy is also one of those like sort of black or black dominated conditions where it's much more frequent in blacks than other ethnicities. So her predisposition to epilepsy might also have to do something with her, um, you know, ethnic tendencies. She's scoring lower odds for leukemia. She's scoring lower odds for vitiligo. She's scoring um, higher odds for myopia. She's scoring average odds for corneal astigmatism. She's scoring averages for primary biliary cirrhosis. She's scoring lower odds for stroke. She's scoring lower odds for male pattern hair loss. She's scoring higher odds for atrial fibrillation. Wow, higher for atrial fibrillation. Very interesting. Lower for deep vein thrombosis and lower for cardiovascular issues. Right. She is scoring very high for ADHD, and that is most probably because of this genotype in TOC1. So she does have the A1A1 genotype in TOC1, which leads to higher odds of ADHD. This will also decrease her odds for bipolar 1 and schizophrenia, and she scores average for bipolar 1 and low for schizophrenia. Right. So this genotype in TOC1 did decrease her odds for bipolar 1 and schizophrenia a little bit, and it did increase her odds for ADHD. Um, she's scoring below average for unipolar depression. She is scoring below average for type 1 diabetes, and average, actually not average, but very high for type 2 diabetes. Right? Very interesting. And very high for odds of Alzheimer's. Now, I noticed that a long time ago, I noticed that various monkeys, gorillas, chimps, they all score very high for odds of Alzheimer's. And they all carry the APOE risk variance for Alzheimer's. We're gonna check that right now. I think it's the same risk variance that they all carry, and she's got lower odds of multiple sclerosis. But let's look up the APOE. APOE. Yeah, so she's got two risk alleles for Alzheimer's in this APOE variation, which leads to 12 to 61 times higher odds of Alzheimer's. So they all carry this genotype here for Alzheimer's that leads to higher odds of Alzheimer's. Yeah, that's why they score that. That's why they all score that. All right, let's scroll past all that. For cancer section. So she's got two risk variants for breast cancer at 24. It's pretty typical. She's got higher odds for prostate cancer. She's got lower odds for glioma or brain cancer, lower odds for thyroid cancer. She's got two JAK2 risk variants out of 12 total found in the file. So she's got some predisposition to polycythemia vera as well. and 2 risk variants for testicular cancer and K12G. Now that's very interesting. Only 2 and only in this variation. I gotta look that up. I gotta look up K12G and see what's up here. So it looks like for K12G, she's actually got 1 genotype that leads to increased risk of testicular cancer, and 2 genotypes that lead to a reduced risk of testicular cancer. That's very interesting. In humans, if you see a genotype like this, if you see somebody with 3 genotypes like this, and one of them is leading to increased odds, and 2 of them are leading to decreased odds. So in this case, you'd assume it's because of a dislinkage, but um, of course, it's not a dislinkage. It's typical genotype for gorillas. It's all homozygous, so it's a typical genotype for gorillas, obviously. So it's very interesting that for humans, the typical genotypes are linked up differently from the way they are in gorillas. Um, let's see what else. Actually, let's go back to the polygenic page. Looks like she doesn't have any risk variants for GSS. She's got 8 risk variants for Crohn's and no important risk variants. That's good. She's got no risk variants for Riefenstein's. She's got 1 risk variant for Parkinson's. Very interesting. Which is not 1, of course. It's labeled as E, so this is one of the risk variants um, that is gonna count as 1, even if it's homozygous. She's got 2 risk variants for Gilbert syndrome. She's got 2 risk variants for JCD, Jacob Creutzfeldt disease. She's got 10 risk variants for allergies out of 26 total, which is coincidentally quite average, actually, by human standards. She's got, which means like average predisposition to allergies. So that's pretty interesting. She's got 4 risk variants for irritable bowel syndrome out of 12 total. All right. She's got 2 risk variants for Brugada syndrome out of 26 total. 2 risk variants for Treacher Collins type 1. And no risk variants for Treacher Collins type 2. All right. We don't see any other rare conditions, any other risk variants that she would score. That's pretty interesting. Pretty cool. All right. Now, regarding the facial morphology, let's see what she scores for facial morphology. Actually, so for facial morphology, it looks like she's got European genotype for EDAR. For EDAR, she's got all European genotypes, which is certainly very interesting that um, a gorilla is carrying these variants that are typical for Europeans in EDAR. She's got a genotype for longer midface length, genotype for higher odds of protruding nasal bridge, larger nose size, and a genotype for thinner eyebrows and a genotype for thicker eyebrows. Pretty cool. Likely lower nasolabial angle, nose drooping down based on DCH. DCH has 2 genotype. Very interesting. Gorillas certainly, I would say, have higher nasolabial angles. So that's probably not quite accurate. She doesn't carry any risk variants for hemochromatosis. She's predicted to have higher level of empathy on the basis of these 4 variations. So based on these 4 genotypes, she's got a higher level of empathy. Wow, that's really cool. I don't remember, what did the chimp score. What did the chimp score? Now I'm curious. What did the chimp score? Because the gorillas with the higher empathy, that makes sense. But the chimp's got to score less for empathy, right? Let's check it out right now. Hold on. What's interesting is that the chimp is also scoring higher empathy. So the gorilla got higher empathy. The chimp's got a higher empathy as well, but chimp's got slightly lower score for higher empathy, but he's still scoring highest. He's still scoring 42% for higher empathy. Gorilla scoring 60, but chimp is still scoring 42. So chimp has also got higher empathy. Very interesting. Gorilla's got higher odds of lactose intolerance. So the gorilla is not lactose intolerant whatsoever. Doesn't carry any variants for lactose persistence. Gorilla's got intermediate or higher odds of autism. Let's look at chimp actually. Let's look at chimp. So chimp's got higher odds of autism for sure, but the gorilla is kind of like on the border. Gorilla is between higher and intermediate for odds of autism, which is certainly very interesting. So chimp versus gorilla. Chimp has got very high odds of autism. Gorilla's like on the border between high and intermediate. And for levels of 5-HT and serotonin, Gorilla's got intermediate levels of 5-HT and serotonin. What about chimp? Let's look at chimp. Chimp has also got intermediate. Interesting. What about D2 receptor sites? So Gorilla's got intermediate or less. What about chimp? Chimp has got also intermediate. Actually, chimp just has intermediate, not less, just intermediate. But they both have AA in TOC1, don't they? Chimp has AA in TOC1, and gorilla, as you can see, also has an A in TOC1. So they both have the same genotype in TOC1, but gorilla has slightly less D2 receptor sites than chimp. Let's see what else can we compare here. Let's compare odds of cardiovascular issues, right? So for gorilla, gorilla's got intermediate odds of cardiovascular issues at 40%. What about chimp? Let's look at chimp. Let's bring up chimp over here. Chimp has got intermediate odds of cardiovascular issues at 40%. Let's who's got more? Who's got higher? So gorilla's got 26% for higher, and Clint has got 28% for higher. So chimp has got slightly higher odds of cardiovascular issues by only 2%, only 2% edge, but chimp has got slightly higher odds of cardiovascular issues. It's very slight edge, but chimp has got slightly higher odds of cardiovascular issues than gorilla. So we're comparing Vila the gorilla versus Clint chimp, just so that you're on track. Okay. Epithelial cancers. Let's look at epithelial cancers. So Vila the gorilla's got higher odds of epithelial cancers. What about Clint chimp? Let's look at Clint chimp. Hold on. Let's bring him down here. Clint chimp also has highest odds of epithelial cancers. So it looks like they both have high odds for epithelial cancer. They're pretty similar, actually. What else can we compare? What about HLA gene panel, right? So Vila the gorilla's got lower odds with autoimmune disease, and Clint chimp has got also lower odds of autoimmune disease. Very interesting. Very cool. Vila the gorilla has got intermediate odds of obesity, and Clint chimp has got also intermediate odds of obesity. Wow, that's very surprising. Everything is pretty much the same. What about blood group? So Vila the gorilla has got very definitively blood group B. And that's no surprise, actually. That is no surprise. Do not be surprised that she's very definitively blood group B, because gorillas, I'm gonna teach you something. Gorillas are all blood group B. They all carry blood group B. So this is no surprise to you. Gorillas all have blood type B. But Clint chimp, what is his blood type? Clint chimp is blood type O. That's right. Chimpanzees can have blood types A, O, or B. So Clint chimp is actually blood type O. The blood type of Clint chimp is different from Vila the gorilla. So Vila the gorilla is blood type B, but Clint chimp is blood type O. Here we found a difference between the two. That's very interesting. Ooh, so many similarities, but so few differences between the two apes here. Let's look at biomarkers for Vila the gorilla. Vila the gorilla has got average levels of vitamin D, lower levels of LDL cholesterol, which is good, higher levels of HDL cholesterol, which is good. Let's compare that to Clint. Hold on. Vila the gorilla versus Clint. Clint has got average levels of vitamin D, which is good, lower levels of LDL, which is good, and lower levels of HDL, which is bad. So very similar, actually. Also very similar results to Vila the gorilla. Let's continue with gorilla. So gorilla has got higher glucose levels, which is bad, and average hemoglobin levels, which is okay, and lower blood pressure. Wow, that's very interesting. Why the very low blood pressure? That's very low. And lower level of iron in the blood, so she doesn't have hemochromatosis. That's pretty cool. And lower sex hormone binding globulin level, and also lower level of red blood cell count in blood, and longer telomere lengths, which leads to longer biological lifespan, which is really good, and also average height. Now let's look at Clint Chimp. Let's look at what he scores here. What about Clint Chimp? Clint Chimp has got average level of glucose, so Clint Chimp doesn't have the elevated glucose level. All right, that's good. That's one difference. He's also got average hemoglobin level. That's similar. He's also got the low blood pressure, so the blood pressure similarity is there. He's also got, I think that's the same reading for iron in the blood. So the exact same reading for iron in the blood. He's got also lower level of sex hormone binding globulin, so the same reading here as well. He's also got lower level of red blood cell count in blood, also slightly higher telomere length, and slightly higher height, which I think is not accurate at all because chimpanzees are not very large by ape standards. So Vila the gorilla is quite similar to Clint Chimp. Even in ethnic calculator, she's very similar to him. I mean, look at the ethnic calculator results. She's closest to Clint Chimp out of out of all the groups in the Oracle. So uh, certainly there is a lot of similarities between Vila the gorilla and Clint Chimp. I wouldn't be able to go over the entirety of this result with you guys. There is too much to go over here. There is too much to read. There is too much to digest. And if you want to go over the entirety of this result, I will publish it on GitHub pages. So you will be able to look at the web page that I'm looking at right now for Vila de Gorilla. You will also be able to download um, the raw DNA file for Vila de Gorilla from a link that's going to be in the description. I'm gonna sell it for maybe $3 or $4. Vila de Gorilla's raw DNA file. So you'll be able to download it. You'll be able to purchase it from me and run it through any ethnicity calculator you want. For example, MDLP World Ancient Roots K10, or if you want to run it through like Eurogenes K36 if you want to. Any calculator you want, you can run this gorilla through. So thanks for watching the video. All the useful information and relevant links will be in the description. My tool, which is Trait Predictor, the links to purchase that will also be in the description. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.